in chapter 3, it's all about reframing failure, and this is where we dive into my opportunity to start really chasing failure with getting an opportunity to try out for the Phoenix Suns. Once Kobe told me to do it, I had no idea how that was going to work because I'm a motivational speaker / pastor / executive / podcaster, and typically NBA teams don't let those kind of people show up to their door and try out for basketball teams. And so I started emailing NBA teams. I found the public relations emails of every NBA team on a website. I started with your favorite team, the Boston Celtics, and said, hey, let me come try out for your team. I'm gonna fail, but there's only one way for us to really know, and that's for you to let me try. And they said, man, it's a great idea, it's just not for us. I felt that rejection, and then I thought, it's pretty awesome that the Boston Celtics emailed me back. Like, how often does that happen? Yeah. So then I thought, I'm gonna make a documentary about being told no by all 30 NBA teams, and I thought, this is gonna be fun. And so on my 5th email, the Phoenix Suns said, yeah, we love this idea, come on Monday. And I'm like, Monday? What in the world? Like, are you serious right now? That was a Friday. Okay, that was a Friday. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, and at first—
Wait, time out. Were you physically already getting ready?
So, yes and no. So I was definitely preparing for some sort of NBA workout. Then I tore my IT band, which again, for what I do right now, it's like I could still do what I'm doing right now with a torn IT band, but you can't play basketball really well, barely walk with a torn IT band. But again, I never actually expected an NBA team to say yes. I literally thought I was gonna be told no by all 30 NBA teams. Yeah. And so my legs started healing up a little bit so I could play, but I wasn't in the best shape ever at the time. But I still was doing my due diligence of thinking, man, it probably won't be until like email 23 or 24 that like it'll be popping. And so when they're like, come on Monday, I thought they were referring to like 10 days from that time. I'm thinking, I got 10 days to, do not 2 a days, but 3 a days, and we'll go out there and get after it. And they were like, no, like this Monday. And I was like, yeah, of course, yeah. Which kind of feels like my life a lot of the times. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that thing, yeah. Like, I'm telling Zach and Alex all the time, like, what are we doing today? I'm like, somebody asked me to do it, like, let's just go for it, And then as we're getting off the phone, they said, yeah, bring your camera crew. And I was like, I don't have a camera. Yeah, of course. Someone doing a documentary, of course they have a camera crew, for crying out loud. And so I immediately get on the phone and I called Chuck. And I said, Chuck, bro, I don't have time to explain everything to you, but we gotta go to Phoenix. He's like, bro, what we going to Phoenix for, man? And obviously he'd have to take off work, as I would have to take off work.
Dude,
since we both work.
I was probably at the restaurant as you were calling me.
And I was like, dude, man, I got a Phoenix Suns workout on Monday. He's like, bro, for real, what are we really doing in Phoenix? Bro, I was like, bro, I could show you the email, bro. Like, we gotta go to Phoenix.
I can't remember thought, because I can't even talk now. Like, it's the same reaction. You were talking to me and I was like, is this real? Are you joking?
Oh yeah.
And you were like, we'll take care of all the travel and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, look, sure. And I just have to show up, and we showed up and we were going and on the flight in Phoenix. And I remember it was a consistent thought. How did we get here?
No.
How did we get here?
I had the same thought.
Yeah.
And what most people don't realize, like, one, I was flat broke, okay? So I was just like, all right, we're gonna figure out a way to get Chuck there on some way, shape, or form. I think I used miles to get you there. Phoenix had its largest storm in Phoenix history.
Oh,
Downtown
that's
was
right.
almost flooded, okay? In fact, Monday morning, they called me and said, hey, we're sure you didn't make it in because all the flights were canceled. And he was on the flight, I wasn't. And I convinced an agent to let me on the flight by telling her I'm trying out for the Phoenix Suns tomorrow. And she's like, you play for the Phoenix Suns? I said, man, let's calm down. I'm like, let's not make a ruckus about this right now, okay? I'm like, but I gotta be on that plane. Also, on my journey of chasing failure, most people don't know this part of the story. I was pacing in the airport, waiting for Chuck to come through security, and I was on the phone with a friend. I was freaking out, and he plays professional. I was just like, man, I just need somebody to talk to. Like, I have no idea what I'm getting into going from 24-hour fitness to the NBA. And so I'm like,
24.
Like,
not even LA.
Not
It's
like
24
outfits.
outfits.
It's like, what are we gonna do? This is crazy.
And this is your camera crew.
And my camera crew is of one, and it's Chuck, right? Most people don't know this either. We didn't even have a place to stay, and I didn't even tell him that.
Yo, I was following you like Jesus Christ, man. I said, you telling me I'm believing you and we're gonna do this.
Real one right there.
Like literally, it was like, this is insane, but there's no way I can not be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm waiting for Chuck to come through security, and out of the security line comes Coach Avery Johnson, who just so happened to go to our church at the time, and I had just seen him like 3 weeks before that at an event. And so I stopped him in the airport on the way to Phoenix, and he walked me through what I could expect in a workout. I'm like, I wish I would have had this a month ago, but nevertheless, you know, it was just like, man, like just how the stars align. And then we had a friend in Phoenix who said he would pick us up, and he surprised us and said, hey man, I got you a hotel across the street from the arena. And we were like, great. Now he didn't know.
I didn't know that. I'm finding
I think he just found that out now.
I'm like, Ryan's setting this up good.
Like it was literally like thing after thing. Like leaving my house, I didn't know the details.
Oh my.
I was just like, man, we will
figure it out. We'll build a plane on the way down.
we will figure it out. I mean, it looks like it was way more smooth than it really was. Wow. But I just remember, like, how nervous was I from your vantage point?
You know what, man? You played it off very well,
okay,
because
good.
I had no clue what was, and I was just looking, and for me, I was like, hey, Ryan got this all set up. Got hotel, somebody picking us up. Never been to Phoenix before. Okay, he's taking me to his favorite chili dog spot. Okay, this is cool.
Oh, they have Portillo's there.
Yes.
Little Portillo's dropping this.
Oh yeah. Which wasn't the greatest idea either, but.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't know if you still do it now, but I think it was the day of, you went to Starbucks and you got like every green thing you could possible.
I did.
And you were like, can you just put all that together with some hot water? And I'm like, I think I tried to, I was like low-key trying to record you do it.
You did record it.
I did, okay, yeah.
I think that's in the documentary,
Oh, man. But you know, and another thing too, like I think you didn't have time to be nervous because I was always recording you. So you're in the, yo man, you know, Phoenix Suns.
He was always on.
Yeah, training camp, or, you know, tryouts today, you know.
Oh my
Let me
God.
show you what I'm working with. Got the KDs here, you know. And it's like, you know, you didn't have time. You didn't have time to be nervous. You didn't have time to, because I was like.
You didn't try out in Kobe's?
I did try out in Kobe's. I've probably had KD's in the bag or something like that.
Oh yeah, you had
my options.
Artillery of shoes.
Yeah. You can't go to battle with
Bang bang. What's up?
What kind of drills are we running today, Coach? I got the specimen.
Yeah, you know, it was. I remember, you know, going through that workout, thinking like, what in the world have I done? And like and I started to feel that like, oh, you fail, and you are failing in front of like professional athletes who decides to have their most embarrassing moment and brings a camera crew of one to film it. Like, who does that, you know? And then I had that epiphany moment running past this logo of, man, chasing failure has taken me further than chasing success has, you know? I've won an All-American award in basketball before, trying to be successful, but here I am chasing failure, and all of my success, it never got me in an NBA practice court, but here we are. And I just remember like, man, this is a game changer for me, of not being afraid to fail anymore. Like it was like, man, failure actually is better than I had ever imagined. And then it was crazy. Like a couple years ago, a friend of mine reaches out to me. He goes, "Hey, I want to take you to lunch with a friend." And I said, "Sure." I get there, and it's Anthony Tolliver, who plays in the NBA, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I'm telling him this chasing failure story, and he's like, and I'm like, "You were there." He was on the Phoenix Suns.
He was?
Then I watched the video again, and he's like in the background shooting
That's
all
so
time.
funny. That's
It's
so
just,
crazy.
It's just crazy how like, man,
That's
how all of
insane.
the things just, you know, what can happen when you're willing to do that. And I think I learned so much from that Phoenix experience that I don't think I could have learned in Dallas in terms of just being willing to go for it. And
I was gonna ask you that. Doing the chasing failure, like trying out for the basketball team, do you feel like now it changed your trajectory with like failure? Like
100%.
because I know I've called you and I said like, "Hey, I'm thinking of this." You're like, "Do it." And I'm like, "But Ryan, okay, so?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "But what if they say no?" They say no. And I'm like, you know what? I wonder why he's like this. And now it makes sense. Like, I feel like when you put yourself through such a gruesome, because I watched the documentary. We actually used it at my school a couple years ago for our 8th graders that all want to be NBA players.
Yeah, they do.
And I remember seeing your face when you were doing that run of the
yeah.
court.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, and that is the moment where he said, "What am I doing?" But now it makes sense why you're the way, like how you see everything and how you believe so big. And it's so awesome because you having 2 little boys, they're gonna feel like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it's like, it's so cool that you've been doing this without knowing like what your next step was gonna be. You didn't know you didn't have kids then.
No,
Yeah, you know?
Jackson was on the way.
Actually, yes.
Jackson was
yeah.
on the way. He was thought of, but we had not
That's
seen
so
his
awesome.
face.
That's so cool.
You know what I do? And I didn't even notice that I did this until you just said it. But what I do with people now is I repeat their fears back to them in a softer way. So if someone's like, "I'm afraid my dad's gonna be disappointed in me," I'm like, "So you're afraid your dad's gonna be disappointed in you?" And when I say it back to them, they're like, "But you make it sound so light." I'm like,
Just going and.
and part of it is just like, embrace the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm
so
just
true.
repeating it back to say, does it sound as bad?
Well, I would say this too. You're known for the ending. Like, you're known for, I tried out with the Phoenix Suns for this chasing failure thing. To me, what took the most courage, because you were bought in. By the time you got to the Suns, it's not like you're going to call up Jeff Hornacek and be like, "Not coming, too scared." It's like, you got a date, like you're going. But to me, the courage was the first step of like, you just sent emails. And I told you that. I was like, to me, I don't send the email. I overthink it. There's no overthinking in your process. And when you're repeating somebody's words back to them, it's just like, "Oh man, what if I don't?" And you're like, "What if you don't?" It's almost saying like, why are you you're overthinking it. You're just
Right.
like,
Get
I've
out your
heard-
head.
Yeah, I've heard people say it this way where it's like a bias towards action. And with you, I've always seen there's a bias towards action. It's just like, most of the time you called me from the airport because you were Friday, and I think you were at the airport and you're like, "I'm heading to Phoenix to not make the Suns." It was like you were already, and I mean, they probably told you Monday because they're like, "Well, if you're gonna fail, then just get here." We don't need to set a whole
Man,
bunch of
but
stuff
what
up.
if you would have made it?
Yeah. No, that would have been
Like,
wild.
that would have been wild.
That would have been a better story.
Well, they asked me for footage because they wanted to know that I could play the game of basketball.
Oh, okay.
So they knew that I could run,
You had
that I
knowledge.
could shoot,
You were like 5'2", 300 pounds.
Here's my pop shot reel.
Yeah.
Dave and Buster's.
Top score, 80. Slow-mo.
Yeah, so they knew. But you know, it's so, I learned so much just about the NBA too, of just like how all of it works, and just even the politics of it, the school you went to. That was the number one question everyone asked me. "Hey, what college did you go to? What college did you go to?" It's like, well, this guy played overseas, but it doesn't matter. Like there's so much like happening that's like not happening at the same time. And part of it is like these athletes are outstanding. I'm good. They're outstanding. And so I fit in, I did not stand out. And that's what most people don't realize about. And Phoenix is, shout out to the Suns organization. It's one of the most renowned medical staffs in the NBA. I think the ratio is almost one, like medical personnel to the ratio is like, I think it's either 2 to 1 or almost 1 to 1, where each player gets medical attention designed for their body, which amazing. I don't. Wow. They have a nutritionist, which I don't. You know, so they are positioned to be top performers in the world, and so yeah, they stood out, and I didn't. I mean, just thinking about, you know, I did a shooting drill, and they said, hey, most of our guards are knocking down 17 or 18 out of 20. Well, I knocked down 15, 14, which is good. Like that's good shooting. Yeah. But it's not NBA.
It wasn't for them.
Best. That's not outstanding. You know, you should be basically you should only miss for like in barely. You know, but that is the level of. So it wasn't like I was there and I was making 2 out of 20. Like it wasn't that. But it was. I got an opportunity of a lifetime. And I was grateful for that. I was grateful that I went for it.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Lifecast with Ryan Leak. If you'd like to order your copy of Chasing Failure, you could do so on Amazon or wherever you like to buy books. Also, if today's episode added value to your life, you can rate it, share it with a friend. You can also drop a comment. And, as always, don't forget to subscribe.